Sorry, did you start?
Yeah, I started recording.
Okay.
So we have to be good now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have everybody. Okay, and I assume we have no citizens petitions? Boy, my vision is getting bad. Okay. So we're on to approval of the minutes.
Move we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, so they're unanimously approved. I assume there's no communications and bills, consultant reports, changes to sewer use list, attorney report. So we're on to the public directors, works directors report, or you can tell me that we needed one of the previous.
No, we did not. So the only thing I can report is that we're doing the interviews this week for the mechanics position.
Good luck.
There's going to be 3 on the list.
Yes.
Are they internal or?
No, they're all
combination?
external.
They're external.
Anybody you know from the community out there? No, really?
And this is the one we changed the requirement for some certification, or that was?
No, that was the lab tech.
That was the lab tech,
Right.
okay, okay.
Yeah, the lab tech, we got 7 applicants and none of them met the qualifications, so we're putting that one back out again.
You can't advertise at Pfizer somehow?
We have like somebody that we know can get an
And then you have
internal.
to pay better than Pfizer.
Well, unless they're doing layoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I guess we're on to the facility report. Harry, you wanna?
Sure, there's plants running well. Did well on nitrogen this month too. We had a slow start, but we're well below our target this month. In addition to the lab tech and the mechanics, we still have the operation supervisor position vacant. The gravel street pump station renovation that should resume in July when the new year fiscal year turns over.
Oh, okay, so Groton's on the July to June fiscal year?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much all that's going on that's new there.
The pump station for Mumford Cove, is that at there's a road that sort of ends right at Haley and budding Haley Farm. Is it down that road that
Yeah,
you?
I think it's Sunrise or something.
Yeah,
Some
okay,
tennis
yeah.
courts, I think there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the pump station only sticks up like 3 or 4
Right,
feet
yeah,
out of the ground. Yeah.
And if you need a few extra miles on my bike rides, I go.
So you'll probably go right by it, yeah.
So that's the last pump station on the eastern side of town. From there, it goes right into the plant.
Okay, any other questions? I have no chairman's report, so we're on to old business and update on Beard and Mystic Cheese.
I did notify them that, we're gonna be more flexible on the date once we get firm date of when they get their agreement all signed. I checked with the ARPA coordinator and the attorney has reviewed. The agreements should get them back this week. They actually use Mystic Cheeses as a template for everybody because they know Mystic Cheese and Beard, they really want to push those forward. So they should be going out probably next week. Once they do and they get it back signed, I would think that would be the start date. Because it's a reimbursable type thing where they have to do the work and then we have to say, okay, it's done, then you get the money. It's not like
Yeah.
we're gonna just give you a check and
Yeah.
they go out of business and
Right,
go to Florida,
right.
Interesting.
That is the kind
Okay.
of thing they do in Florida.
Yeah.
Good point.
So I didn't understand that. I assume Mystic Beard and Cheer.
I don't know if they do or not. I will reach out to them, just let them know that that is the case. If they're gonna have to, the work and then we'll, Harry and I will go out there. Somebody will go out there and say, okay, yes, it's done. We give a letter to the ARPA coordinator saying their work is done and then they'll get the money.
Okay, I'm a little concerned because the Mystic Cheese guy in his comments, it seemed like it was a big deal to get $18,000 to be able to purchase the stainless steel piping, so.
Well,
um,
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that they could get a short-term loan,
Yeah,
considering the fact that
No,
the money's gonna come.
I would think so, but,
Or contractor works on net 30 and then they have the
And
time
they-
to get the money.
well, that's usually on labor as opposed to materials.
Point. Yeah, that needs to be a deposit.
So anyway, it would just be good to reach out to them and
Just let them
make
know.
sure.
I'm sure
that-
it's all spelled out in the agreement. Once they get it, they'll
Mhm.
see it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
okay.
surprised they don't know that already.
Well,
I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't, but
Yeah.
if you're applying for these things.
Good
and-
point.
Yeah, no, one would hope that they realize, but I think it's just any extra time we can give them so that we'd like this if possible to
Oh,
go
wow. Yeah,
well and actually happen. So anything we can do to facilitate that, but, okay, so, the June date when, the 90 days from the approval, is that gonna be before or after our June meeting? I can't remember
It's June
now.
6th. I think.
So do we need to do something now
Um,
or just wait until the June meeting and? Cause you said the lawyer sent them, email or letter,
Right.
whatever, saying they had 90 days.
I mean, I could have him send another letter out if you agree to go 90 days from the date of they signed the agreement or something like that. Or do you want, I mean, how do you want to?
Well, I don't know how else we'd benchmark it, given, I thought it was actually they, applied for the funds got dispersed, and then, so I would have said from disbursement of the funds, but if it's reimbursement, we obviously can't. The 90 days has to start off something.
Did they have a lawyer involved themselves? You know,
I believe they did.
if they did, it might not be such a bad idea for our lawyer to write to their lawyer and to say, look, we understand this is happening. So we're willing to extend this date. We want to hear from you as to, when you can, get this, when's a reasonable date for you to finish this work. And, we can discuss a drop date. Does that sound like a reasonable thing? I mean,
Yeah, assuming that both Mr. Cheese and Beard had lawyers, that's.
or a lawyer. I mean,
Well-
if they had any brains, they'd have one.
Yeah,
right.
but I don't know, so I guess
I know with Beard there, he was working through their attorney.
with Beard,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Mystic Cheese who I'm sort of wondering about more.
Mm.
'Cause
Well, I
think
mean, if
they're a
Mystic Cheese
smaller
doesn't have
scale.
a lawyer, then you could write directly to them with this, basically the same message that, get back to us and tell us, let's get in,
Okay, that sounds reasonable to me, I like that suggestion.
Okay,
Is
so
that,
all of our attorney put a letter together to ask them what they feel is a reasonable date. Then we can bring it back to the June meeting. See.
okay,
Yeah, we should be able to respond by then.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion for you to follow up this way, or?
No.
Okay.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Consensus from you.
Okay. I never quite know. So just the minute should capture that Greg will follow up with them. I mean, obviously, we're not gonna do a year from now, but 90 days from what? If they really need 120 days, okay, but okay. The SB 916 sewer, unpaid sewer assessments, et cetera, and
I got, some good information here from our tax collector, Melissa McGuire, so. Email, you can have a copy of that. Talks about how, the process. You have one, you want one?
I know. the process.
You know the process. So basically, for the residential liens, they only do it in November every year.
Okay.
And it is an 18% per year interest, which is pretty high.
Yep.
And she said typically what happens is a lot of times that'll get people's notice that they get a lien, but some don't, and then they go to the town attorney. The attorney sends a letter out, and that always gets their attention and they pay it. Yes. She's not aware that they've ever had to go to foreclosure for a delinquent sewer bill.
Okay.
She is also aware of the bill, the SB 916, so.
Did she express any perspectives about it?
The last
like she doesn't
paragraph
like it.
there.
Oh,
Well, okay, but
Taxes are-
remind me though, can we place a lien? Even though we can't foreclose on it?
You can
Yes.
put liens for,
All right, so there's
She's saying
still,
that you could
we're
put
still
liens.
making 18%. If we place liens, so it doesn't make a whole, especially nowadays, and I mean, I can remember a time when 18% was practically normal. But, so that would be an inducement anyway. The fact that you're accruing on, fairly high interest. You know,
But I understand the concern that's being raised, but when the taxes were only collectible for 15 years, but does that mean if there was a lien that it would go away?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
It does.
Mhm.
Okay,
but if somebody decides not to pay their sewer bill for the entire 10 years and just let the thing pile up, you still got 5 years within which you can foreclose on it.
And if I could add just
Yeah.
something real quick from the tax office, I know that in a lot of situations, the town's liens supersede anyone else's liens. And if a house is got a tax lien, a lot of times, whether the people are paying the mortgage or not, the mortgaging bank will pay the sewer liens so that if for some reason the town does attempt to foreclose, the bank's not out there $300,000. They would rather
Right.
pay the $400 a year
right.
to not lose their mortgageable.
Right.
So in the 4 years I was with the tax office, very few sewer bills went past 18 months because then the banks would pay that.
Well, another thing that it seems to me that, again, I'm not sure because I'd have to look at the statute maybe to be for sure, but if the $4,000 amount includes accrued interest, it wouldn't really take all that
No.
long
No.
to get to 4,000.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's 4,000 and new charges.
Well, this says
or-
charges and fees.
Right,
I'm not
right,
sure.
right.
Whether
I
the
know.
fee includes
Yeah,
interest, I'm not
exactly.
sure.
Okay, so I guess, so thank you for getting this information and one good side is it sounds like this really isn't an issue for the WPCA in Groton in terms of collection and so
Yeah, I
forth.
don't really see it as.
Not the case everywhere, really.
Well, apparently there's a town or two that was being difficult enough that people were putting in these bills. So I guess I'm willing to just let it go and say nothing. I mean, again, obviously, I'm not in favor of sending back to whatever that organization was and saying we supported their efforts to oppose this bill. But I guess I'm also not feeling obliged to send them a letter or find out whether we all want to send them a letter saying that actually we don't think they should be, I sort of feel like they should be looking to get the bill, a modified version of the bill that they could live with rather than just opposing it. But I'm happy to just drop it.
Well, actually, I mean, if you're gonna lobby about it at all, really, you should oppose it because it was pretty bad in a lot of ways. Right? I mean, you know, remember there was also that provision that it was this was the same bill that prevented us from using on breweries, right?
No, that's.
Oh, this is a separate one? Okay, all right.
This is the bill where that had been put in to
Okay, right.
prevent towns
Yeah,
from.
originally it was $10,000 and then.
Right.
More.
All right, yeah. Well, yeah, four is not so bad. Because 10,000 you'd never reach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
at least in Groton, you'd never reach. I don't know what other towns charge for sewer. Okay, shall we move on to new business? Okay, so we need to set the public hearing for the fiscal year 24 sewer use fees. And so that would be at our next meeting, June 13th. Do I need to read this proposed legal notice or?
Did you get a copy of it?
Yeah, I actually printed one out and
Okay,
signed it.
okay. I don't think you need to read the notice. I think you just need to make a motion that you're gonna set the public hearing for that date.
Okay, so I move that we set the public hearing for June 13th at 5:30 PM, a hybrid meeting.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
And that has to be voted on at that meeting, right?
The actual sewer, this just sets
Fee.
up the public hearing.
From what I understand, that has to be said at that meeting also.
Yes, at the June meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we go to this next item, I meant to raise this in old business, but just very briefly,
Yep.
has anyone indicated any interest in becoming a member of the WPCA board?
I was at the resiliency study meeting last Monday and a guy came up to me. He's actually on the HDC now, the Historic District Commission. He said he was interested in joining the WPCA, but I guess he went to Betsy and she said he can't be on two boards or commissions, which I thought was kind of odd. I thought you could be, but
Yeah, that's news to me. I thought you could be too.
so he was kind of debating on whether or not he was going to get off that one and join this one because I guess he worked at Dow Chemical. He has kind of a science background.
That's the guy who came
Yeah, I think he did say he came
yeah.
to our
one of our
last,
meetings.
or a couple meetings
Yeah,
ago.
we had one there. I don't remember what his name
Can't
was.
see on more than one
Yeah.
board.
I guess you have to look at the town charter for that. Certainly nothing I remember. I was on 2 charter revision commissions, but a long time ago. Galaxy far, far away.
Mhm.
Well, the good news for y'all is that I got outbid on the house in East Lyme that we wanted, so
See?
I will be here for,
Until next month when you find something else, right?
there's not much on the market that meets our requirements,
yeah.
so. I will be surprised if we find anything by next year.
Fun to look.
Well, we'll look. Anyway, it would be good to get at least one more member on here, if not 2 more. Maybe we should go back to putting that as an agenda item on old business, just to check for updates on WPCA members. Because although once we pass the fees, we could go quorumless until the next May. Okay, so we need to talk about the other new business item is the FY 24 sewer use fees.
Yep. And I did put together some different. Pass those down.
Mostly, we haven't looked at a single house in Groton, but
Mm,
All right, so the top number there, the 9.7, that's what the requested FY 24 expenditures was. And then the available fund balance is what's below it at 2.6. So that I've got really 4 different options here for you to consider. The first is no rate increase, which is the $35 per month for the residential and $0.056 per cubic foot for commercial. And then they just go up 50 cents per month for each succeeding option, using less fund balance, obviously. The other income, the 555,000, that's made up of 2 components. One is 15,000 of interest income, which is what we get for finance, and the other is 540,000, which is a state grant we're looking at to pay for most of the pump station resiliency capital improvement project that gets shown as other income.
but we don't necessarily have that, or
We
we,
don't, no, we haven't,
Okay.
we haven't not, we have to apply for it and then, get accepted.
What are the chances?
They do have quite a bit of money there, so it's pretty good. I mean, if we don't get the grant, the project wouldn't go forward, so then, we're not gonna spend. I mean, I think our match is 20% of that, so.
So that would bring down the expected expenditures if we can't get the grant.
Correct.
Okay.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna go ahead with the project. So yeah, this year is, quite, as we went through the budget a couple of meetings ago, the 9.7 is quite a bit higher than it normally has been because of the capital projects, another $1 million for the Milford Cove pump station and some of the other projects we got out there.
And in terms of this available fund balance, is there any, like, the options range from that's using 84% of it down to using 72% of it. Is there any, presumably it's just there as sort of emergency money if something were to happen?
That doesn't, we actually have a lot more than that. This is what we're allowed to use.
I see.
And I don't know if it was, and I have to check if it was a town charter or state statute, but we have to withhold 3 months worth of operating expenses in our fund balance. So there's another couple $1 million kind of that we can't really touch unless it's an emergency. That doesn't, so our fund balance is almost like say $4 or $5 million.
Okay. So I guess where I'm trying to go is, whether there's any, what the plus and the minuses are to spending more or less of that fund balance. So we'd end up with like about 700,000 if we did the largest rate increase, and we'd end up with 400,000 if we did the smaller, no increase.
Right. Then, whatever money we don't spend in this year's budget just goes back into that as well.
What was last year? Do you remember historically what we've done over the last few
As
years?
far as the fund balance goes? or
No, rate increase.
I think the year before was 34.50, so you went up 50 cents.
Yeah, we went up, that was, so we went up.
And I think the year before that, you went up like $1.50 because
Yeah.
there was, we only had like 2 or 3 years there where there was like no increase. You know, and obviously, the price of electricity, the treatment plant is a huge user of electricity.
There's solar out there, huh?
Well, we talked about solar maybe for the UV sterilization, if we go that way, but there's not a lot of room at the plant. See what we can do, but
Don't you just need a roof?
we have some flat roofs we could put some on.
We got solar panels on our house and now the electric company owes me $70.
And That's nice.
Which you'll never see, right?
No, because now they've started charging me $8 a month again, so I wanted to pay a bill for another 8 months
Oh, nice. Okay, well,
on the house.
yeah, nice.
But, we've also got that little guest house
Yeah.
that uses almost no electricity, but just the cost of having an account. I mean,
Just
basically,
having a meter there.
Oh,
yes.
Kind of is-
they charge you for the delivery of
Yeah.
electricity, even though you're not using very much. Ridiculous.
I think $30 or $40 a month just to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
how they
Are
could
you on Groton Utilities or Eversource?
Eversource. We don't have I don't think we have the option of going. Right.
No,
I assume that's.
It's nice to have a monopoly.
Location determined,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it's very, there's a line on a map that's very.
Yeah.
You don't cross the line.
Yeah. So you pay electric rates like I do, but you get your water.
Exactly.
For.
yeah, we make out on the water side, yeah. Okay.
So just out of curiosity, would it make sense to evaluate installing solar for the plant?
I
For
think
the entire plant?
Yeah, I mean, if it was only gonna provide 5% of the electricity, it may not make any sense. If it could provide, 50 or 100%, that's a different story. I have absolutely no idea.
Well,
Doesn't look
actually,
like
the
it's your
question is,
favorite idea.
Well, I don't think there's just enough land to make it.
Yeah, that's what I have no idea how.
Yeah,
I would also just like to toss in, I'm pretty sure Groton Utilities doesn't allow solar panels for Groton Utilities, because I've looked into them for my
Well,
house.
they just don't have any rebates. and incentives
Oh,
like
okay.
Eversource does, but
My question is, why do you keep referring to the amount of land? It's panels on the roof.
Well. So
Right.
what's our
How many-
plant
how
bill
much
is 34,000?
panels you need? Roof. There's not that much roof.
So you might need a solar
Because
field.
the plant has the big
I get it. So it might be like Route 12. Okay.
yeah,
I see.
I feel like Route 12,
Yeah.
because the plant uses a lot of power,
So
so.
it's about 35,000 a month. So that would be a lot of panels, I
Mhm.
think, to generate that much.
Mhm. Got it.
I'm sorry about this.
The same.
No. I've been getting these telephone calls. Welcome to Comcast. I keep blocking the numbers and they keep calling me again.
On a different number, or?
Yeah, from different locations in Connecticut and some from the United States. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And not
I
only,
went today from South Dakota was Comcast.
yeah, well,
So-
So I
So you
I
bring up
filter
Groton
all
Utilities,
unknown
The
senders.
plants
I
on
blocked
Groton
Yeah,
Utilities?
but then they come up with another number.
right.
Yeah, so I do
So
unknown
not on
senders.
The line is right
Do
there.
I actually, John Glennon's doing it too.
Like here,
Um,
they're on every
And so I
year.
don't get any
High
text
school's
messages, for
Eversource.
instance,
Okay.
from anybody that
That's what
I'm
the
not
line
already
is.
connected to.
Hmm.
But then I look at
Um,
the back end and I might see an odd one that came
Oh.
through from somebody,
is
Yeah.
the
But
town
generally- and I
gonna
do that with phone calls too.
Yeah,
at
maybe
some
I should.
point look into,
Solar?
yeah,
Yeah, no, we are for actually, we went out for this complex here. We went out, we have a consultant working on this. We went out to do this complex, the police station, this building and stuff, but to do parking canopies. You know,
Right. Yeah,
But it just didn't, it wasn't cost effective because it's so fragmented, all the buildings and running all the infrastructure. Just, so I'm actually meeting with them tomorrow to talk about just doing the police station. And that may work out. So we would have canopies like in the back over all the patrol cars, which has the benefit of, it keeps the snow off their cars too.
Oh,
I know, I know this is a bit off point, but
But that
why did they put a new parking lot in front of the police station? That, they tore out the,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, we just did that. We repaved it. It's not new.
well, I know, but it was perfectly good the way it was.
It was all falling apart.
Not like the roads around here. I can tell you that. I mean, I bicycle
Here we
on it,
go.
and, you know, it's. I mean, anyway, that's not here or there.
wow.
okay,
Did they put solar panels on the new middle school? Cause I remember going to a hearing about that and
They are working
Basically,
on that, yeah.
it's. I mean, it's like, you can't ask for a better location
Yeah,
for
yeah.
solar.
Yeah.
It's all wired and everything for it.
Oh, nice.
oh, okay, cool. Okay, does anybody want to make a motion on the rate or provide the thought on the rate increase?
I don't think we do that now, right? We do that at the
Yeah,
actual hearing.
because I have to post whatever we're gonna
Right.
do
Okay.
Oh,
to the town clerk so that people know that it's going up.
Um,
Going up or whatever.
So when I look at it like Joe homeowner, and I just look at 50 cents, 58 cents, 60 cents, that's nothing. But then when I look at 4.35%, which again is only 60 cents.
No,
It's
4.35
it's
is
$1.50.
$1.50.
$1.50 for a homeowner.
Oh, I'm sorry,
for
I went too
commercial.
far over. Okay, so related to, okay, 35 to 36.50. I don't know, I still don't think that's much. But the year that we did $1.50, we had citizens. I mean,
Yeah,
coming to, they
obviously,
were outraged.
so what if we went up $1? That's
Mm,
2.9%
Mhm.
increase.
mhm.
I mean, that's using a big portion, 2 million out of the 2.6 that in the fund balance. I mean, I don't have a strong rationale one way or the
Mm.
other, but I'm obviously inflation's been high and it's always the people who are on the edge who are most impacted. So, you know, I'm not necessarily inclined to push for the largest raise, but on the other hand, I'm also not inclined to. Because when you don't have any raise, then you're just putting it off to have a bigger raise.
Right, I agree.
And so I think it's better to have sort of smaller, consistent raises.
Can I ask, what's the commercial rate is different. You can't put a dollar figure on what it's gonna cost a commercial establishment. More, you're just saying it's 60 cents
Per cubic
per
foot.
cubic foot. But you have any idea? I mean, I'm just wondering if we could raise the commercial more than the residential.
I don't think there's any. I mean, I just did it, percentage wise.
Right.
I mean, you could go up more with them.
Yeah, I mean, you
Do
could
we have
do,
any idea how much of our income comes from the residential versus the commercial?
I mean, you could do a 2.9% rate increase, for instance, for residential and 4.35 for commercial or something in between.
Just know that there's only 418 commercial accounts. That's it, compared to the over 6,000 residential accounts that are billed. So
But so is is it called Mystic Business Park, on Flanders Road? So he would be counted as one?
It would-
Well, there's no sewage up there,
Oh, okay.
but whoever has a water meter.
Yeah, it's based on who has water meters.
Is he his own water supplier too?
so,
Oh, he is on wells. You're right, you're right.
There's a
Okay,
septic up there.
okay. I was thinking of, someone like that, how he might be impacted, but yeah, okay.
I also can say too that I think at least 50% of the commercial accounts, they normally just get billed the flat minimum rate
That's what I
charge
was
per
gonna
month.
guess that a
Because they
lot
don't
of
even use more than 600 cubic feet of water,
Oh,
so they get charged the minimum every month anyways.
oh,
If they're basically just having sinks and bathrooms.
right, okay.
Yeah.
So
Small little
Hey, what
water-
if it's
Store or-
unless they're brewery.
restaurants would have their own, unless they're using a lot of water for
Yeah.
dishwashing or
Oh,
something
I
like
see.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, because the commercial, the minimum is whatever the residential rate is.
okay. All right, well, in that case, it's probably not worth
That's why I was wondering how much is it really gonna help?
right.
Yeah, I mean, again, I would be comfortable with the 150, but the optics of it, it might be easier for us to go with $1. So that,
Well, or we could propose $1.50 and then we could reduce it if we get a lot of feedback.
okay, oh, I like that idea.
I don't.
Okay,
I rather we did the $1.
okay.
I'm not, I don't know how much anybody would be aggravated. I'm sure there'd be
Well, what's her
somebody.
name will
Yeah,
show up.
they'll be here.
But, if we go up the $1, and people complain, last year we did 50 cents. And, we considered doing $1 and $1.50 both last year and this year, I believe. So
And that was my reference in terms of the optics of it. We could speak to it. Well, we didn't do $1.50.
right, exactly.
Tried to rein it in.
Right, so anyway.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm fine with, so you're gonna
So-
want to propose $1 then?
Yeah, so do you need a motion tonight? For the $1?
Yeah, for proposed.
Okay, so a motion would be that the proposed rate increase would be 2.9%, which would be $1 for the residential and the 0.0 higher and 2 cents a cubic foot higher on the commercial.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I
So it passes unanimously.
move we adjourn. I think we're over
Wait,
for
we
the
need to
time.
just double check. So everybody's here June 13th, right?
Yes.
Right.
Because that's the public hearing and that's
It's already
when we
on my calendar.
actually
Yep. Mine too.
formally pass the rate
Yeah, we'll have the
increase,
public
right?
hearing, which is the process we'll go through.
Right,
Everybody speaks and change your mind if they convince you to.
okay, so then now you can make.
Oh, okay, thank you. I move we adjourn.
I think we're all in favor. Thank you.
That's a long meeting. And I don't.
And the recording.